Hi guys, today we're going to be doing lesson 5, determining the equation of a line through 2 points. We're going to be looking at 2 different ways of coming up with the equation of the line. And for both of these methods, we're going to solve for the slope first. So the first example says, without graphing, determine the equation of the line that goes through the points A, 4, 8, and B, 10, 11. So the first thing we're going to do is solve for m. And when we do that, I'm just going to write down x1, y1, x2, y2, because the formula we're going to use for the slope is that m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That gives us 11 minus 8 over 10 minus 4, which is 3 over 6. So we get that the slope is 1/2. So no matter which method we're going to use, we're going to find that the slope, and in this case we found that it was 1/2. The second step is going to be to solve for b. We're going to solve for the y-intercept. And to solve for b, we're going to use y equals mx plus b. And we're going to write down what y equals, what m equals, what x equals, and b is going to be the question mark. So in this case, y, you can pick either point. Y, I'm going to say here, is from point A, so y is 8. X, I'm also going to take from there, so x is going to be 4. Slope we solved for before, that was 1/2, and we're going to try and solve for b. So if I sub all these into y equals mx plus b, I get 8 equals 1/2 times 4 plus b. So 8 equals 2 plus b. So 8 minus 2, so I get that 6 equals b. And be careful that your b doesn't look like a 6. So I'm really careful with making sure my b looks like a letter and my 6 is curvier to look like a number. So we found m, we found b. The final step is going to be write the equation. So when we write the equation, it's always going to be into y equals mx plus b. You don't have to write that, but I did, because it's going to be y equals, well, we got m was 1/2 x plus 6. And that's going to be our final answer for the equation of that particular line using method 1. The second method is similar, but uses a slightly different formula for steps 2 and 3. It does the same thing, solving for m. So we're going to do I just copied the points down, using the points A, 4, 8, and B, 10, 11. If we use those points and we solve for m, we're going to get m from above. M just equals 1/2. And then the second step in this way of doing it, I'm going to use purple. The second step for this way of doing it is we're going to sub into this formula. We're going to sub into that and isolate y. And I'll show you what I mean in a second. So we're going to have m. We have that. We're also going to need, here we've got x line and y line. X line and y line are just going to be your x value and your y value from your point. So when I sub these all in, I'm going to get y minus 8 equals 1/2, because slope was 1/2, bracket x minus 4. So we've done our sub in. I'm going to distribute now. So I'm going to distribute the 1/2 onto both terms inside the brackets. So I get y minus 8 equals 1/2 x minus 2. I'm now going to take that minus 8 and bring it to the other side, or add 8 to both sides. So I get y equals a half x minus 2 plus 8. So y equals a half x plus 6. And that gets you to the same formula that we had before. It's just done it in a different way. So I'm going to zoom out. You can see that they are the same. And you're just going to have to pick the way that you like better. I'm actually going to keep using the first way, method 1, because you only have to remember the two formulas, the one for slope that you need for either of them, and then you just need y equals mx plus b. But you can use either way. In example 2, it says determine the equation line that goes through these points. So I've got x1, y1, x2, y2. So step 1 is find the slope. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's going to give me minus 4 minus 8 over 1 minus minus 5. Or minus 12 over 1 plus 5 minus 12 over 6. So I get m equals minus 2. And no matter what method you use, you'd have to find the slope. The second one, I'm going to find b, my y-intercept. So for this one, I've got y equals 8. I'm going to use point minus 5, 8. That's with my x and y. So y equals 8 equals y equals m equals x equals b equals question mark. X is minus 5, m is minus 2. So 8 equals minus 2 times minus 5 plus b. 8 equals 10 plus b. 8 minus 10, or minus 2 equals b. And my b looks like a 6 there. There. Now it looks a little bit more like a b. So my final equation, and you don't have to write out 1, 2, and 3. The final equation is going to be y equals minus 2x, because it's mx, plus b means it's going to be minus 2. That's probably enough to have you know how to do it. I'm going to keep going and solve a couple more. I'm going to solve these using the second method this time. But either way, we got to find the slope. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's going to be x1, y1, x2, y2. 6 minus 4 over 4 minus 3. That gives me 2 over 1, which is just 2. So I get that my slope is 2. And now I'm going to use a, which is 3, 4. So for my x and y, I'm going to get y minus 4 equals 2, bracket, x minus 3. So y minus 4 equals 2x minus 6. Y equals 2x minus 6 plus 4. Y equals 2x minus 2. That actually felt way faster than the other method. I'm going to use it again. We've got our 2 points. x1, y1, x2, y2. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 6 minus minus 4 over 0 minus minus 2 is 6 plus 4 over 2. 10 over 2, so we get slope equals 5. And I'm going to sub them into y minus y line equals m x minus x line. And if I use these, actually I'm going to use these because then they're positive. I just think there'll be less of a chance to muck things up. So y minus 6 equals 5 bracket 0, x minus 0. X minus 0. So y equals 5x minus 5 plus 6. So y equals 5x plus 1. Okay, we've got a couple more. I'm going to really quickly, if you need to skip ahead, skip down to make sure that you see D and E because they're a little bit different. C, I'm going to find my slope. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, x1, y1, x2, y2. So I get 32 minus 3 over minus 6 minus 1. So that's 35 over minus 7. I get that m equals minus 5. Subbing those in into y minus y line equals m x minus x line. I'm going to use these because they're smaller numbers. It doesn't matter which point you pick. So y minus 3 equals m is minus 5, x minus 1. So y plus 3 equals minus 5 plus minus 5x plus 5. So y equals minus 5x plus 5 minus 3. Y equals minus 5x plus 2. Oh, that's an odd. Was not expecting that shape. Okay, these last two are going to be a little bit different. We're given 2 points and it said, what kind of line is this? Plot the 2 points to help you. So I'm going to do a really quick sketch of this. So I've got 5 with a height of 4. So that's my point G. And it's 5 with a height of 4. And then 8. Let's make that 8. And that's 4. So H is going to be 8 across and 4 up. And if I were to sketch the line through those points, it's going to be a horizontal line that crosses the y, that's the x-axis, the y-axis, crosses the y-axis. So you could do it by sketching it. But the other thing is, maybe you might notice that the y values match here. So you could sketch it, or you might just notice the y values are equal, or they match. But whatever way, whether it's a horizontal line or the y values match, this is going to be some sort of line that's in the form of y equals a number. Horizontal lines are going to be y equals numbers. And in this case, the number it just is going to equal is that y equals 4. So the y's match, that's going to be your equation. It's y equals 4. It's a horizontal line that crosses the y-axis. So it's a y line, y equals 4. Lots of different ways to remember this. For the last one here, we get j is 3, 6, and k is 3 minus 5. If we look at the values here, we can see that the x values match. So if we were guessing this, the x values match. If you see that right away and you go straight to x equals 3, you would be correct. If instead you graphed it and you really quickly saw, I'm going to be 3 across and 6 up, 3 across, 6 up, and then 3 across and minus 5 down. If you were to do a sketch, you will see it's a vertical line. It crosses the x axis, and that means it's going to be in the form of x equals a number. So it's going to be, it crosses at 3, so it's going to be the line x equals 3. So whether you recognize it or whether you're graphing it, however you do it, the final equation for this horizontal line is going to be x equals 3. Thanks for watching.